Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder. It's not every day someone invents something that changes the game. I found out about this product that I'm talking to you about, and I had to try it. So I ordered a few, and after using it, I'm sold. Now we stock them on our trucks. It's called All Brace, and it will help you sell more service and buy you time until doors come in. There's never been a greater time for a product like this. Phil has a video on his website of him cutting a door literally in half, installing the All Brace, and running it like nothing ever happened. It is literally incredible. One of the greatest selling videos I've ever seen. You're going to want to check it out at all-brace.com. Hey guys, Ryan here with Torsion Talk Podcast, and today I've got 2 amazing people. One of which is Tamara. She's in the square box. I don't know. Maybe we need to get her a new camera. And then we have Joseph. For those of you guys who don't know Tamara, she's listed on the video as Ryan Lucia for some weird reason. But Tamara is, I don't like calling her my assistant because she's so much more than that. She's kind of like, I don't know. I got to find a new name for her. She was hired as an assistant, but she's not an assistant. She's, I don't know.
What am I? I'm going to have a crisis.
We'll come up with something. Anyway, Joseph, funny story. I've known Joseph since I was 16 years old. I went out to try out for the basketball team. I think, was that the first time I met you, or I probably met you in school?
Somewhere along those times, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a twin brother,
right?
Joseph, and what was his name?
Matthew.
Actually, I think I was closer to Matthew in high school than I was you. Probably. I think Matthew and I hung out. You were probably the good kid. Matthew was probably the bad kid if I was hanging out with Matthew. So usually you have, if you got 2 brothers, one's the bad kid, one's the good kid. So,
right.
But funny story is, I launched a door company 6 years ago, and I get a message. I think I got a message, or I reached out to you. I don't remember. But we got connected, and you were like, yeah, dude, I do like consulting for some pretty large door dealers in the country. And I was like, dang, okay. And I remember thinking, well, one day maybe I'll be able to afford your services because I was a startup and didn't really have a lot of extra money. And just recently hired you for consulting. So full circle, this is awesome. I love that. It's a good story.
Right.
But Joseph, if you guys have been to like IDA, I think IDA's got a crush on Joseph. I got to figure out how he got that because they won't let me speak at their events anymore. But I'm waiting for my phone to ring. I check it every day for messages from IDA to ask if I'm going to be able to speak at the expo in Vegas. I don't know. It's weird. I haven't received one yet. Have you? Of course you have.
Yes. It's in the works.
No phone call, no text, no email. Tamara, no email?
No email.
She checks my email. So, yeah, a little disappointed, man. I feel like at this point, even I just get up and talk about metaverses, they should at least let me blab on about something. Anyway, I'll draw a crowd. At least people will come. I don't know. Let me get on tangent. It's okay. Listen, you're listening to Torsion Talk Podcast, the largest, greatest, most wonderful garage door industry podcast in the garage door industry. Effective like 2 months ago when someone else started their podcast. And today we have Josef, and we're going to ask Josef some questions about employees, measurables, finance, all of that stuff. Because honestly, I don't know anybody else better suited to answer these questions than him. And we're honored and blessed to have him come on the show and talk about a lot of things he does. Josef, will you tell us a little bit about what you do on a daily basis other than sit around the house in your pajamas?
Sure, absolutely. So I run E-Square Consulting. Ryan, as you mentioned, E-Square Consulting was a company that I started about 6-7 years ago, really with the desire to reach the distributor dealer side of the garage door industry. I mean, when I started the business, it kind of came right on the heels of some real changes that were on the horizon of the industry. I mean, led primarily through the lens of consolidation in the industry. There was, a lot of chatter and activities around larger companies gobbling out smaller companies. There was manufacturers getting involved in direct distribution. There was a lot of things going on there. But I really just had a great desire for the distributor dealer side of the industry and got started on it with my background being, as you mentioned, kind of in the financial side. I had been running the North American finance operation for one of the divisions of a major manufacturer, and just had an opportunity to continue that on the dealer side of the industry, really bring in more of a consultant, mindset to it. And that's where it started. Going into it, I really had a passion, for a couple things, and one was to influence others through service. That was the biggest thing. Listen, I wanted to have an opportunity to influence decision makers through service. The second one was that I wanted to be a coach and to be coachable, right? And in our industry, there's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot of things, Ryan, you wake up every day that I just don't know, but there are a lot of things that you do know, right? I want to work with people who are looking to be a coach and be coachable. Yeah. And
I think the last one, paid to run around and crack jokes all day, but many people think I'm
right.
super smart or whatever.
And then the last one was, to think and act strategically. I'm not always the most practical person in the bunch, but I will think in a strategic way, and I want to encourage our industry to think that way, because your competition is. Your big competition is thinking 2, 3, 4 steps down the road. They're not thinking about what's practical in the next thing, though it's important. They're really thinking further down the road. And so when you bundle all that up, I think every day my goal and my mission in E-Square Consulting is to alleviate loneliness in business leaders making critical business decisions. So to alleviate loneliness and increase confidence in decision makers. That's what I do every day. And I do that.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. You have consulting groups, kind of like what we do with peer groups. Mm-hmm. It's very similar, but also very different. Hang on, the wife's calling. All right. So with that, what we found, Tamara and I sit in on some of these meetings, and I have a very similar, I came from ministry. I've been in ministry for a long time, believe it or not. And one of the things that I found is that pastors are probably one of the loneliest people in the world. Because they don't have anybody that they can confide in, because they're so worried that if they say the wrong thing, that it could cost them their career or, their passion. Business owners are not far down that list, right? It's a very complicated scenario, and no two businesses are exactly alike. And, you could recommend something for one business and not the other. But business owners as a whole, especially ones that came up through the service side or the install side, who don't have the business education, whatever. I mean, those guys are there's days where they struggle and they don't have the answers and they don't know who to go to. And, maybe they could afford to hire you or me consulting later on down the road, but they're probably struggling for a reason and don't have that money to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So, I think that there's a huge, the loneliness factor for business owners, especially in the last 2 years with everything going on, and they're not being predictable analytics and decision-making. It's not just, buy leads and go. There's a lot of other factors that have helped businesses get through this time. And so it's not been easy. It's been very difficult. And I think that there's a lot of business owners out there who need that reassurance and confidence. And so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And just to kind of, dovetail on that, when you ask what I do every day and you look at it over the last 2 years, COVID hits, March 13th, March 14th, 2020. Is that right? We maybe, I forget, 29.
It was like March 2020.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I forget where the years have gone now, but, you have that happen. And we were scheduled to have a peer group meeting 2 weeks later. All that shuts down and we can't have it. So you eliminate that face-to-face meeting that we're trying to have with people. And, all of a sudden we mobilize a bi-weekly call where on Mondays we were having a call with everybody in our peer group program to talk about how are you responding to this from a sales and marketing perspective. And then on days we're having a call, how are you responding to this from an operations perspective? And so companies were having their key people on their leadership team dialing into our meetings because they didn't know what to do. No one's ever faced these kind of things before. And
right.
And the idea of doing it on your own sure doesn't seem like a very positive way to do it. So, we were able to mobilize those kinds of things and do that on a regular basis and facilitating those discussions and connecting people together in very similar ways in the midst of a pandemic to kind of bring them together, even in a virtual world. So anyhow, you're right. I mean, and that's a big part of it. I mean, I like to consider my services to be a side-by-side service, not a across-the-table kind of service, where we're sitting together looking at the same thing, helping you to kind of walk through that data and analysis to be a better version of the company you want to be. So
nice. So today I'm going to peg you with some questions, and Tamara's job is to fill in holes where I jump from one space to another and somehow get off topic.
Good luck with that, Tamara.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a life goal of hers. She's
insurmountable tasks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like checking email and keeping Ryan on task. Is the Ryan on task part is between her, my wife, and Tisha. They do a pretty good job combining efforts. So
they're on a group text that you don't know about, but they're just continuing to talk about you behind your back.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't
Does Ryan know your
secret.
birthday's coming up?
Yeah.
No. Should one of you nudge him? Yes. Yeah. So it's pretty bad. So I want to season 6 is all about employees. We're going to talk about, there's a lot that ties into that, but I wanted to bring you on the show because I think just from when I went over to your house that day and you were kind of showing me all this data, like benchmark data and all this stuff, I was in awe because every industry I've been in, there's benchmark data that you can get access to, and it's non-existent here. You just can't get it. I think there's a company, John, I don't know. I met them at, they do acquisitions in the garage door industry, and they spoke at Expo a couple years ago. Anyway, they had some benchmark data, but I didn't when I tried to dig into asking them, because data is only as good as the data you put in. And so I was like, well, how are you getting this data? And so I found it very hard that the data was going to be accurate. So I still have yet to find true industry-wide benchmark data that's really good. And I'm setting out to try to accomplish that. It's one of my goals for 2022. But you have smaller samples and good data. And I was blown away about how you displayed it and just all the information that you had. So I'd like to talk a little bit from an owner's perspective. What do you think an average service truck should be making the company in revenue?
That's a really good question. I should have had the numbers right up here in front of me, right?
No,
yeah, and I don't. Just backing up real quick on that data that used to be available, through that data that you mentioned that used to be published. I mean, the last time that data, particularly from that firm, was published was 2014, 2015. So, I mean, you're talking about anybody who's got the same business that looks eerily similar to 2014 and 15. This is not the same world. That we're in there. So that, as relevant as that data may look, I don't know how applicable it is to today as much. But so how much should a service truck be making? I mean, I don't have the data up here in front of me, and I wish I did, but I look at that and I say, well, you got to ask some underlying questions, right? In order to build that up, you have to know some other things like, what is an average service call? How many service calls do you expect your technicians to be making? What administrative task are you having your technicians doing? It's been very difficult when you talk about industry standards and industry benchmarks. What makes that a real challenge is that most people don't attack the job in the same way. They all tend to do it a little bit differently. You're looking at a technician, I would assume on the residential side is very different than a technician on the commercial side in terms of what expectations are, right? Residentially you're doing one crews, commercially you're doing 2-man crews, but I would definitely tell you that, you got to understand, throughput, how much can be accomplished. You have to understand the quality of the lead that you're getting before that technician makes a service call. You have to make sure that technician is equipped with the selling features that you want them, to do. So I don't know the exact answer, but I can absolutely get it to you. I don't have the data pulled up here in front of me, but it definitely could get that to you.
So you said something that was interesting. I've had a conversation with one of my guys the other day, and a common theme that we get from all of the service guys that come to work here from the beginning of time, everyone's always said, I've worked for a couple companies or a bunch of companies, and you have the best customers of anybody. And that's exciting to me. And I'm not sure I understand why, but when I'm recruiting, I tell people that our employees that have worked at other door companies say our customers are the best they've ever dealt with. And I think that there's some value in that, and maybe it's our business strategy. I don't know. But I think that's
really cool. Why do you think that is?
I think that, I don't like, I'm not going after the cheap, crappy leads. I'm not buying a lot of AdWords. I'm not buying, Thumbtack. I'm not buying Home Advisor. I'm not buying service ads. A lot of those people are looking for, I want it now and I want it cheap. And that's not a great experience for a service professional, especially if he's on a performance-based comp plan. Number one, you want it now. Okay, well, I got to drop what I'm doing and run out there. And we got to be one of the first ones to be able to show up or we're not going to get it. So they're demanding. Number two, they're cheap. Hey, what's your best price for this? And that's not our clientele. Like we charge to go out. We pay very well. Our guys make good money. And which is probably maybe the reason why I got to hire you. Who knows? But if I think our marketing, our strategy, we know who our client base is, and we brand ourselves and we market to all those people where they play, where they eat, where they sleep, where they live, work. Like that's where we try to get in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was able just to pull some numbers here for you while you were, chit chatting on. I mean, so, we look at sales generated per tech and installer. So you're looking at a little bit of both, but the numbers that we show here on some residential should be upwards of, and this is actually, we have not done our full benchmark for 2021. So if you're listening to the podcast, hopefully you've gone out with some nice price increases. Hopefully you raised your labor rates. Hopefully you have improve the service that you're doing, so you're actually increasing that throughput and whatnot. But you're at being able to generate somewhere between $550,000-$600,000 annually, including installation and service through a technician and installer. Now, granted, that's blending a few different numbers together. But,
and we don't normally do. So we don't normally. Our guys are either installers or service guys. We have like one guy that does both, but we try to keep them dedicated. I feel like the guy that can be in a garage for 4 hours isn't the guy that you want diagnosing a garage door and repairing it, is my experience.
Sure. And here's the good news, right? In that you're seeing more and more specialization of services and people within the garage door industry. If you read the clock 5 to 7 years ago, very often there wasn't that level of specialization. It's like, a door guy was a door guy was a door guy. They were doing, different, they would do everything, right? And that still happens. But there's a lot more companies like yourself, I think, that are deciding to specialize their work crew into, some of them have specialized warranty techs. They have special people. All they do is warranty. Which that's horrible.
I refuse to do that because I feel like that's me giving in to the fact
it is.
Be like, whatever, the warranty.
Yeah. And listen, you got to do enough work that you got work, right? There's some good in that. And the people that I know that do it, I know why they do it. And I think it makes a lot of sense, but you're getting into very specific. Yeah. You're getting into very specific crews.
Yeah. So if we're talking a truck generating $600,000 a year,
I said technician. So there's a difference, right? So theoretically, you're talking one-man crews, residential only.
Yeah. So it's $50,000 a month.
Well, and the data that I have here that's not going to be 100% residential only.
Yeah. Okay.
That's for every dollar. That's for every head count, full FTE head count. That's a technician or an installer. That's the revenue generated.
Can we do some? I think this will be fun, but it may be boring for some people. Can we play with these numbers real quick?
We can try to give it a run.
All right. So if we're at 50,000 on a technician, let's say a residential service professional. Okay, I call them service professionals.
Right. That's a great word.
Thanks, Phil Miner. I appreciate that. He gave me the advice on that. All right, $50,000. All right, let's say you pay your technician. What do you think you should pay that technician? What should he make for generating $50,000 in service? Just a rough estimate. Just what would you say?
I don't know. You're asking. You're jumping to what's the top of Mount?
20%.
Climbing up.
We're going to say we're going to pay him 20%.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I think ideally 20% should be equivalent to your fully burdened labor costs on that should be equivalent to that of your your labor rate. So not just your full ticket. So if you're charging $120 an hour for a service call, I think you should take whatever 20% of that is, and that should be about what your service tech is making.
So we do performance based. So
sure.
I don't even understand what you just said. Maybe that's why I had to hire you.
Right.
Listen, Ryan.
Listen, I'm a sales guy running a sales business, right? All right. Marketing and sales. All right. So if we do,
so the easiest, like just simplify the numbers, right? If I'm charging $100 an hour for labor service,
we don't do hourly rates.
Sure. I mean, well, and I think that's also part. What do you do when someone calls out and says, "We need you to come out and do it? My door's broken. What you need you to come out here and look at it."
I'm like, yo, dude, get your butt up and go out there, and they don't get paid if they don't sell it, and then they get paid commission if they sell it.
Right. So what happens if they don't
based a percentage off of like how good they are. So if they got a lot of experience and they're really good, including like keeping their truck clean and organized and great reviews and no callbacks, then I'll pay 20%. If it's like a new guy and he's fresh, green, 13, maybe 13%, 14%, and then as he gets experience, 15, and then we'll move him up.
Yeah.
But
Ryan, let me ask you a question. What do you tell your customer if the customer calls and says, "Yeah, I can send somebody out," and you just send somebody out there and you don't charge them?
We don't do that.
We charge a fee.
Okay.
For them to come out. It's a diagnostic fee, kind of.
So what we do is we tell the customers that we have a diagnostic fee of $129, and if you choose to hire us, then that's included into the price of your purchase.
Okay.
So
we're talking semantics. You call it diagnostic fee. I call it an hourly charge, right? It's in theory, you're recuperating the value of the hour
of them going out there. Yes.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yep.
Radically.
Let's get a little higher overview because I feel like you're going to lose me in the weeds, and you can do that on tomorrow when we have our meeting. So 50, let's say the truck generates $50,000 in service only, no door sales.
Yep.
And then let's say he's really experienced and really good, and we're going to pay him 20%. That's a $10,000. That's a $10,000 commission for the month, which if you're generating 50 grand, I feel like is okay. Well, especially on service, because your margin should be very good. So let's just say on service, you got $10,000 in labor. I think our average truck. Oh, I got this. Hang on, y'all. I got this. I may not have it pulled up, but I got this. I have what our trucks cost us and everything. I'm totally ready for you, Joseph, tomorrow.
All right.
My goal is to have an answer for every question you have that I understand.
There's the rub.
Yeah.
Caveat that I understand.
Yeah. All right. So our trucks, $1,000 to run a truck, insurance. Service trucks are like $1,500, $1,600. So we're going to talk $1,600 to run a truck. That's fuel, that's truck, that's insurance, average maintenance, divided up amongst the trucks. We're running about $1,600 for the truck. So that's $11,600. And then parts, right? I mean, parts are fairly inexpensive. So let's say that the parts are 25% of the total, which is 50,000, and we're at 25%. That's 12,500 plus $10,000 plus 1,600 for the truck. You're looking at like 25 grand. So 50% margin on residential service guy, roughly. That's a very rough math. If you're generating $50,000 in service, should make the company 25 grand.
If your math is right.
Yeah.
I didn't check it.
Yeah. All right. So our service guys, I think there's a bunch of different ways to do it, right? I've got Adam at AE Door and Window. I don't understand his methodology on the way he does things, but he's brilliant. So obviously he's figured something out. But he actually has technicians and he's got salespeople. And if you call in for service, they're going to send a salesperson out. And that salesperson is going to diagnose, get you to sign off on the quote, call the office and be like, hey, all right, I need somebody out here. And they either come right out or they get them on the books, right? And they got 70 technicians, 70. He's probably got more now. This dude's crazy.
Who are you talking about again?
Huh?
Who are you talking about again?
Adam Weber at AE Door and Window.
Okay.
Brilliant, dude. The guy is freaking brilliant. Like I call him all the time to bounce ideas off of him, and like I'll call sometimes just because I have good ideas and I want to show off. And then he's like, what about this and this? And I'm like, damn it, man. He always one-ups me. He's so free. I love the way his brain works. I actually just got off the phone with him about some stuff and he came with some really good ideas. But the way he does it is he sends a salesperson out. They get the customer to sign off on it. And then the technician comes out and does the work. That feels like a lot to me. The way we do it is we hire selling technicians or service professionals, which is very difficult to find, more difficult than just finding people who can fix doors that are already they know what parts they're taking out there and everything before they even leave. So they can manage their inventory really easily. Everything's systematic. It's nice, clean, whatever. They go pick up their parts from the parts department before they leave to go do the job. And I think they have the opportunity to upsell once they're there, maybe. If they find something that maybe the salesperson didn't find. But in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to my way, it's much more complicated to find people. So what we do is we don't try to do volume. We try to do quality. So my guys get 3 jobs a day. And their job is to build rapport, a relationship, inspect the door, and provide options. And those options are bare minimums. This is what you need. This is what you might want. And then you can pay me $129 to go away. And so a lot of people, believe it or not, choose the I want package, which is hella expensive, considering all things. But they don't have to worry about it. It's like a worry-free, deal. And so when trying to measure your finances with people and create good company culture, I thought the biggest challenge that I've got is finding people. And then, once I find them, taking good care of them. So what I thought was we could give these people a few amount of jobs as possible, have them do $50,000, $60,000 a month, give them, 3 jobs a day, paid vacation, all this stuff, all these packages, health benefits, 401k, everything, get them a nice truck, build it out to where it's really nice, and make the whole experience a great one. Right. And I feel like for me, that's the best way to do it. But I see all these other companies, they do 10 jobs in a day, and they generate roughly the same amount of revenue because they're just going in there focused on the problem that they got called for. Like, oh, hey, I see your spring is broken. Yeah, it's this amount. And then they go and they do it and then they leave. So I think it's a culture thing. So I base almost everything I do off of culture. I don't want to overwork my guys and have them do 10 jobs. I also don't want to pay gas to drive to 10 jobs. And I want my guys to take their time and enjoy the process and have a good time doing it and get to connect with people. So what's your take? Do you have a way that you've seen work best with maybe some of the dealers that you work with on the residential side?
Yeah, I mean, I think the trend is proving to be true, right? Less is more, right? Whatever you're doing now, try to do it less often for better value, right? And at some point that reaches diminishing returns. We know that, right? 2 calls is not enough. 3 is maybe right for you. For some people, 5 calls is the right number, but 6 is. You depends on where you are geographically. There's a lot there, but pushing the limits of minimizing complexity, right? Minimizing touch, that and maximizing the quality of that visit is becoming, very, very important. This year, I think that has faced some increasingly more difficult challenges, right? Service parts being available has become a little more difficult. You've had situations where I think creating that maximum customer experience is difficult, and then going in and saying, here's your bare minimum 129, get you out of jail card here to get you, to get it diagnosed. But, now that you want to upgrade high end product, well, what do you do when that product's not available? I mean, I think you're that's being and that limit's being stretched. But, Ryan, I think the general consensus is, across the board, a lot of residential companies are trying to do fewer calls, better quality calls. They're trying to coach their people better as to how to sell. They're trying to coach them how to be better customer service people. They're trying to coach them and provide for them the tools necessary to provide the customer with a quality product, but also understanding that, we don't have to be the cheapest. We're going to offer you a valuable service. And I think we're seeing the tides turn a little bit on some of this sort of MacGyver mentality in the door industry, where it's the one that has the most creative service wins. I remember being at an IDA expo a few years ago where they gave out an award to a technician, and they gave it out. They described how complex a service call this person did. Like, they talked about how they had done all these different MacGyver-ish type of things, and how, because of that, he was awarded as the greatest technician in the industry. And I thought, that seems like foolish to me. That we need to
I use duct tape over here, and no, I'm just kidding.
Well, I didn't quite get that. It was the work was done. Don't get me wrong. The work was done extremely, extremely well. But all we did was fix a broken thing, right? We didn't really. The customer could have had a brand new solution at a better value.
Tamara, are you grinning because you got something to say?
Oh, no, I'm just listening because it's interesting. I think that we talk a lot in Garage Door U about working smarter and not harder, and customers that get upset when you send a tech to fix their issue, and it only takes them half an hour. It's like, we can send a slow guy if you want, Yeah. So I think that's definitely a theme that we discuss a lot, and it just makes me smile.
Yeah, and I can say this because I don't own a garage door company. To your point, there's nothing more frustrating to me than time and material. In all honesty, I think it's I'll use the word. I think it's lazy. I think it rewards the wrong things. I think that it doesn't. It's not good for the customer. And I think that's a problem. I think if you put money into me, I've heard you mention, Ryan, on the podcast for the Surewinders and the things that you're, the things that you're doing. If I put GPS in my truck so that I can more adequately sharpen my routes so that I know where people are and can get there faster, and I give them the safest tools so that when I'm out there, we can do it quicker, and I train my people to be able to quickly identify problems, why should the customer pay less for that experience? They should actually be paying more for that experience. And I did it 3 times faster, right? When you fall back on a time and material basis, you fall back on I was out there for so long, right? And shame on us as an industry, we can't show value in the quality of the work that we do and not the time that we're there. And so I think your point, I think that's a good one. Working smarter, not harder. And, the truth is we make investments in those things. And how do we get a return on investment for those things? We charge appropriately for those things.
Exactly.
You could stop the podcast right now. That right there was enough.
Consistency in everything, including price, reliability, quality, not just quality, but great quality control. These are things that describe Somer USA. Somer's not some startup company, not one that you need to be worried about going out of business in the near future. Somer and their family of businesses are $200 million companies. They're in over 100 countries, and they have locations in 20 countries. This is a large organization who stands behind their product and works through integrity. And there's not another company out there willing to drop what they're doing and help you out like Somer. These guys are awesome. Not only have they been loyal to the Torsion Talk podcast, they've been loyal to the technicians and the owners of the companies who install their product. In my opinion, if you're not at least offering Somer as an additional option, you're cheating yourself. Listen, first-time dealers, I've got a special for you. If you buy 10 or more Somers between now and the end of the season 6, while supplies last, we will offer you free shipping. You have no more excuses. The prices are great. The product is amazing. Go check out Somer USA and order 10 for free shipping. I'm going to tell you guys a marketing secret. You want to gain more social media likes, shares, and follows? People love unique and cool projects. There are no better photos to share than the ones on Schweiss Doors social accounts. These guys post some incredible things. Make sure to go there and like and share their Facebook and Instagram post with your business account. So if you like their business account, you can share their post. The bifold doors are awesome, and they're doing some great projects that will go viral on social media if you share them. Go right now to Schweiss Door on Facebook and check out some of the projects they share and like their page. Oh, and don't forget, no one builds a better bifold than Schweiss. Let's shift gears.
I got more. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's shift gears a little bit. I don't think there's a better person other than maybe a couple business owners in the garage door industry that are really good about KPIs. But there's very few people in this industry that I think do a great job of and I'm getting better at it. It's something that I've always done in other industries, but other industries have always been more developed. We had software, we had APIs, you could port all this stuff in, and it was easy to get the information. Here, it's a little gray over here, like this data. And so I feel like if it's not true 100% accurate data, there's no reason to track it. Like you can just kind of feel it out. And I've been pretty good with that here, unless you tell me otherwise tomorrow. But I want to know from you, the wing it mentality is real, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'm going to launch another location.
Called Wing It.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts. Reel me in here. But so what KPIs as a business owner are the most important KPIs that you can absolutely be tracking?
It's a good question. The number one KPI, and you're going to say, well, that's not really a KPI, but it is. It is. I believe the number one financial KPI that you have to be looking at is gross profit margin. Now, that's a fairly large KPI, right? You'd be surprised by that is it's the most important one. And I want to add one little comment to that. The most important in your business is accurate gross profit margin. Okay, not just what gross profit margin, I mean accurate and timely gross profit margin. I look at companies every day. I spend all day long talking to people like you, Ryan, other people from Hawaii to and from the upper Midwest.
I talked to somebody in Hawaii today. 2 people.
Okay. Nice. Good for you.
My sign guy was in Hawaii. I think this is a sign. My sign guy is in Hawaii because I called him to get a rough estimate on a sign for our new location that I might be signing up for. I did a demo for marketing. Tamara and I did it today for a lady who does a rental car business in Hawaii. And then you mentioned Hawaii.
All right. That's the first time. You won't hear it another time today.
No. All right. You go ahead. I'm going to look for flights to Hawaii because I feel like this is a sign.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
So Randy, my point is across the entire country, I talk to door people all the time. And you would be surprised. And I feel like I work with some of absolutely the best companies in this industry. And I would take those guys and compare their businesses to anything else that's out there. Getting uniform understanding of what is included and what is in gross profit is not easy. So everyone wants to jump to things like, well, how much are you spending on marketing and how much are you paying your tax and how much are you doing this and all these different kind of what are you doing? And the truth is to me, until you know with 100% certainty what my gross margin is and is it repeatable and sustainable, you're chasing the wrong things, because that number is the number that tells you what my sustainable profitability is over time, given the model of business that I do, and that is what's necessary to cover overhead. So without nerding people out on financials, right? It is revenue less your material, labor, and other costs gets you to gross profit. And if you're not 100% sure that number is accurate, everything else is a futile exercise, in my honest opinion. Know that number is accurate. Now we can get into some bells and whistles of KPIs.
All right. So as a garage door company,
yeah.
What is the goal gross profit margin?
So I think it depends if you're residential or commercial. If you're blended, I think there are some different things in there. But I would tell you, I used to, 5 years ago, I started with the mantra 40-30-10. Anybody's listening to your podcast that's worked with me in the past, they could hit the pause button right now. They could look at the person next to them and tell you exactly what 40-30-10 is. That is 40% gross margin, 30% overhead is an expense of a revenue, and 10% bottom line. 40-30-10, right?
I'm in so much trouble.
I have people now that have said, forget your 40-30-10. I'm on the 50-30-20 plan.
I like that.
And the reason is not because they decided
I have so much overhead, bro. I wake up in the morning thinking about all the bills I gotta pay.
Yeah, we gotta look at that. So until somebody can wake up every morning and know with confidence that they can produce a 40% gross margin, they can't move to a 50-30-20 plan, right? But so when you ask what is the number, I mean, I still think for many people 40 is a good number to get to. I think that's a good standard. I think the great number is getting up and above that. And for some people, they've eclipsed 40. They're moving up to 50%, and
I think
they're not going to be
stopped. Always been my goal for gross. Always. It's just that middle number you threw out is like
overhead is an expensive revenue.
Well, yeah, and I'll just be honest with you. I like nice things. Not personally,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of personal stuff. Tamara, will you stop, please? Good Lord. She's cracking up. I'm not a liar. I have a nice building. I have, we wanted dock doors. So I got dock. But listen, I got 10,000 square feet for $6,000 a month in a prime location that's brand new. I got accent brick walls on the inside. It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I do Service Titan. I got all the best everything. All my trucks are within 2 or 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, my overhead is a little high.
But Ryan, you're answering you're filling my own statement, right? Which is gross profit margin is the most important number that you can look at because it's gross profit margin that covers all these beautiful things that you want.
Right.
So the truth is you have, some companies that decide that, the lake house and the boat and
I don't have that.
The kids' cell phones and everything else are all part of the expenditure base, right? So you start saying, well, how does my number compare to other people from an overhead standpoint? Well, if we can't agree on gross margin, good luck agreeing on overhead, right? Because everyone's got so many things pulled into that. That's why I go back to fundamentally, if we're going to compare people in our industry and we're going to talk about that, it has to start with gross margin, right? And then from there, you can choose how you want to spend that money. But the business model you have generates the gross profit margin that you make. And from there, you can choose to spend it however you choose. Now, that sometimes you need is that overhead really generating for you the revenue and margin that you need? That's an important discussion. But if you don't know how much gross margin you're making, then you're the blind leading the blind on the overhead side.
Yeah. And that's why, and something we're going to talk about tomorrow too, in our one-on-one time, is I'm so passionate about launching these locations. I literally think this is the best way to generate bottom line profit in our door industry without going outside and offering other services. So it's either like launching more locations or offering additional services. Once you've kind of maximized your local area and you kind of dominated your marketing space, which I feel like we've done pretty well at, to Beaufort, Georgia, may be one of the most saturated cities, not in a major city. We're in the suburbs and there's at least 25 garage door companies within 8-mile radius of me. Crazy nuts. It's like everybody left one company and started their own and they had 20 employees and it was right up the street. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, let's just do the math and tell me if I'm crazy here. But I launched a showroom in Milton, Georgia. Absolutely gorgeous. Built it out. Our overhead is fixed. We really don't. We hire somebody to work there. We got utilities like phone and internet and heating and air, power. But outside of that, we have rent, insurance, and that's it, right? So we have a fixed kind of cap. Now, I'm not naive. I know that also affects air and overhead door Beaufort in some ways. You got increase in phone calls. You got more processing of bills. There's little things, right? So you got to take in consideration there's a small lift of resources being applied to our Beaufort location, but I'm already double in revenue as to what I'm paying there. And it's not even been 3 months. So I'm pretty confident I can do this wherever I want. So let's say I'm spending 10, 15 grand a month in fixed expenses, marketing, everything included. Let's say I'm 15 grand over there. And within a few months, I can be at $30,000 in revenue. And then within a year, I can be at $50,000, $60,000 in revenue. And then within 2 years, I can be at $100,000 in revenue. My fixed expenses are still 15. I'm still at 15. And then Adam, who I mentioned earlier, brilliant guy. We're sitting there talking and he's like, bro, dominate that freaking space. Crush it. Just kill it over the next 3 years and then shut it down. He said, because you're going to build a reputation over there and everybody's going to know who you are and you won't need it. He said, I just backed out of a market and my phone still rings the exact same amount since we left. So if you build your reputation, you grow it, you get involved in the community, you know, all that, and you get to the point where you're going to be who everybody calls, and then you leave. Yeah, your phones might drop a little bit, but you're still going to be on people's refrigerator. You still got the SEO and all that stuff. I don't know, dude. It feels like the right answer. Now I know I'm adding expenses to the bottom line, but I'm adding twice as much revenue within 3 months.
Yeah, and listen, every there's no cookie cutter that works, right? I will tell you, experience has been that organizations that have more locations that are sort of with the hub and spoke mentality of I'm going to have a hub here and I'm going to have various pieces of. I have actually found that in the vast majority of those locations, their overhead as a percentage of revenue is higher than other locations. That 30 number I gave you is the biggest challenge they face. And part of it is, well, I got a showroom on this side of town. I got a showroom over here and real estate over here. And all of a sudden it's just the real estate management or the facility and the site management just becomes more than it's a job into itself. Right. So, that's been my experience. Organizations that look to build locations that are, another community away tend to do a little bit better. The ones that tend to try to set up and that's changing. And the way that's changing is people oftentimes are doing this not to build showrooms and everything else. They're trying to get the Google My Business locations. They're putting in small locations that they may even hold anything in there. They may have a phone that rings there and a person that sits there. Very little overhead in those locations. That's changing the model a little bit. But this idea of setting up many versions of your business in multiple areas around a community, historically, I've seen that be a very difficult task to overcome.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a showroom, staff it with one person, and we literally use that to market digitally. And anybody who walks in is a bonus, right? Like, I don't care if I get foot traffic. It makes no difference to me. I just need to staff it because Google now Google Profile, which formerly known as Google My Business, formerly known as whatever, they require it to be staffed during business hours. It has to be a separate staff than the one at Buford. So we're planning on taking someone and putting them over there, just like we did Milton. They own that relationship, right? So we call them market ambassadors. And then we pay them like a salary. And then after we grow it a little bit, we'll put in a kicker for growing revenue. So they're now bought into, hey, this is my location. I got to grow the revenue. And then we set goals for them to try to get to that, number. So yes, we are increasing that middle number. That middle number has always been a problem for me. I'm just going to you're going to see it when you come, when we talk tomorrow. But I think that's the case with a lot of people. Well, some people, if you're middle ranged in size to big, I mean, I don't know. I'm the last person that probably needs to be talking about controlling expenses because I see shiny things and I buy them. And then I'm like, oh, hey, well, we can just sell another $1,000 and we'll pay for this. Right. And that's not really how it works in the real world. And I'm learning that, right? With my marketing agency, we freaking kill it. Like, it does great. And this is the model that I'm used to because I came from software, but trying to grow a service company is not easily done. Especially when you don't want to cut corners and you want to pay for your employees' benefits and you want to do 401k match and you want them to be in a nice truck, with air conditioning. That looks good driving into this $1 million house, and you want them to have a Surewinder so they don't have shoulder problems. And, the first sign of an issue with a tire, you replace them. I'm not cheap. I'm not cheap with my employees. And I think that comes out of me. But people love working here and I take good care of them. They all make good money. But the problem is that I've got to get the company to the point where it's super profitable. Because I've got plans. I want to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that ultimately, I think, should be the bottom line goal for every single garage door owner business owner out there. What, like, a lot of problems go away when at the end of the year, you look at your bottom line and you got $250,000, $500,000 worth of profit. You know, hey, I'm going golfing. You know, I mean, I don't know. Feels like you're doing a lot right.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, in certainly profit is why we're in this game, right? Profit is why we are in this business. Cash flow really, but profit.
Yeah.
So,
cash flow is interesting.
Yeah.
Whole nother conversation.
Yes. Yes. Which in today's world is becoming increasingly difficult. You know,
I'm good at cash flow.
You are good at cash flow. Okay. Well, we just got to keep the gross margin coming in then, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I'm going to cut this off because I feel like it was a good show and we probably could have cut it off 30 minutes ago, but I don't want Joseph to get tired of me before tomorrow.
We got a lot to cover tomorrow.
Yeah. Number one. Number two, I feel like there's enough information in here for you guys to really, really appreciate the show. And I don't like to have these go too much longer than an hour. So I know, so we're coming up on an hour, I think, from the time we started it. Joseph, what kind of business are you accepting new businesses into E Squared as far as consulting or joining your peer groups?
Yeah. So, certainly on both ends. I mean, we have some select markets that we would, be looking for some people in the peer group program. Where we would love to see some new members, at least explore the concept of our program and learn more about it. The Rocky Mountain area, the Colorado market would be great. Some stuff in the central states, Kansas, Oklahoma, some place in the central area there. The Washington D.C. market, might be a good one. So we have a handful of markets that would be good that we'd like that. But certainly from a consulting standpoint, there's an opportunity there where certainly I'd love to talk with any of your guys that listen here on a regular basis or gals that listen on a regular basis. They're saying, every day I wonder if my numbers are going in the right direction, right? Every day I wonder, are we doing the right thing? And don't live on an island, call out a lifeline, Same reason why homeowners don't always fix their own garage doors, right? Because they need an expert to come in and help them understand, what needs to be done. It's still your business. You got to learn how to manage the financial aspect of it. But if you're not a financial wizard and you're growing your business, eventually you start making big decisions, that you need. And so to work with those people and try to help them, increase confidence, alleviate loneliness when making critical business decisions. That's what I exist and what we exist to do. And so love to do more of that.
I love that. Who do you use for garage door service?
Who do I use for garage door service?
Yeah.
I would be using the Aaron Overhead Door Company of Buford. And so, matter of fact, I gave you a referral last week. So I don't know if you got it or not, but so.
I don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I don't know.
Yep.
I don't have a clue.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. People are like, oh, dude, I hired your company. Did you see? I'm like, no, I didn't. But thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, we're grateful for it.
Yeah, it means a lot. For 2022, by the end of 2022, I really want to be completely hands off as far as like day-to-day stuff completely. Like I just want to refresh the page on my computer to see what our revenue numbers are. And I'm going to have like 10 screens. I'm going to have crypto on like 2 or 3. I'm going to have such and such on 1 or 2. And then I'm going to have Aaron Overhead Door. And I just want to hit Command R all day and just watch. And then like, if numbers aren't going well, just be like, boop, boop, boop. Hey bro, what's going on over here? And then, that feels fun to me.
That seems interesting. Yeah. Seems a little scattered, but I think you can make it work.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Listen, thank you so much. I know your time is valuable. And if you guys, how do people get in touch with you?
Certainly, they can find us online at esquaredconsultants.com. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, Josef at esquaredconsultants.com. Happy to talk with you. Certainly engage in a dialogue, learn how your business is doing, how we can help you make it better.
Yep. And, if you guys get a chance to hear him speak at one of the conferences, definitely do so. I think IDA should pay you for your time. So there should be like a speaker fee that you charge. I think that your flight, your hotel, your speaker fee. So if you want to cut this out and send it to them, you should do so. But you bring a lot of value and information that I think our industry needs. I really think, honestly, have you heard my plan for 2022? Did you see my video?
I'm going to learn about it tomorrow.
Dude, you listen. I'm about to blow up Torsion Talk. We're going to have a show every day of the week. It doesn't have to be an hour long, but I would love for you to do a podcast on my show. And we could release it once a week. You can just do a 10-minute, here's the 10-minute tip of the week. It could be a 30-minute show. You can interview people, whatever you want to do. But I would freaking love it. And we'll sell advertising on it, and I'll pay you some of the money from the advertising and everything. But I think you would have you'd have a good following. I think the information you have is extremely valuable, and it would help grow your E Squared business because
Sure.
our listeners are freaking loyal. Like people tell me they get blown up after getting off of here. So we tend to do very well with sponsors and with people we have like you that come on the show. So listen, if you're out there and you're loyal to Torsion Talk Podcast, make sure you hit my boy up here. And tell him that you want him to have his own podcast show and put some pressure on him so he knows exactly what you want to hear. I think he would put on a great show and help you guys out a ton. All right, listen, love you guys. Be safe out there and tell your customers that you love them and that they help pay the bills and show them appreciation. Gratitude goes a long way. So tell them that you're grateful. Anyway, with that, we'll wrap up and we'll see you next week.